Hey folks, welcome to Fyrefly's Follies. I hope that you enjoy the video today. If you do, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel out a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope that you will and that you'll stick around for a little while. Today I am making cranberry jelly. Now, there are lots of recipes out there for cranberry jelly. This is the one that I personally prefer. It only takes a few minutes to make it. You process, I have 8 cups of cranberries that I have washed and checked through and picked out any that were bad. I have about 4 cups of sugar. I have 6 ounces of pineapple juice. The recipe that I use calls for a half a cup, which is 4 ounces, but I usually go ahead and just put in the whole can. And then I'll add enough water to give me 2 cups of liquid. And it calls for the zest of 1 orange. I do not have any orange zest. However, I do have my dehydrated powdered orange, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of that in the syrup that I start with. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn my heat up onto pretty high to get this started. Medium high is where I've got it. And I'm going to take my can of pineapple juice, turn this where I can see my measurements. And what I want to end up with is about 2 cups of liquid. And these cans, this particular batch, have not been my friend. They just don't want to open. Alright, so we're going to start with the 6 ounces of pineapple juice. And then we're going to add enough liquid to give us 2 cups. Now you can use orange juice, you can use all water. I like the little bit of tart flavor or the little bit of citrusy flavor that the pineapple juice gives. Alright, so I'm going to get that going in my pan. And to that, I'm going to add just a tiny bit, well, if I can get it open. There we go. You want the zest of 1 orange. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of dehydrated powdered orange peel. And to that, I'm going to add 4 cups of sugar, and I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Now, I have my jars. I'm doing a very small batch. This is not going to make a whole lot. And part of it I'm going to have for Thanksgiving dinner, and the rest of it I'm going to put in small jars so I have it throughout the year. Because I'm not a turkey and dressing on Thanksgiving girl, I'm a turkey and dressing year-round girl. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to a boil and let everything get dissolved. And once it comes up to a full rolling boil, we're going to put the cranberries in and we're going to reduce it, bring it back up to a boil, and then we'll reduce it just a bit and we'll let them simmer for 10 minutes. So once we are up to a boil, I will bring you back. Okay, we are just starting to bubble around the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting my cranberries in. And you want to do this slowly, because 1, they run away, and 2, that is molten lava that you have going in your pan. So the last thing that you want is to splash it on you. And you just want to stir those in, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. And once it comes back up to a boil, I'm going to reduce the heat. And I'm going to simmer these for 10 minutes. Now, in 10 minutes, the skins will start popping, and they'll get really, really soft. They'll absorb a lot of that sugar and get really, really sweet. So I'm going to bring this back up to a boil. And once it's boiling, I will bring you back. Okay, so I brought them up to a boil. And I have reduced my heat. Now they're just sitting at a nice simmer. So I'm going to let these simmer for 10 minutes. And I'll stir them pretty regularly. I don't want them to stick. I don't want them to scorch. But they are breaking down. And if you have never cooked cranberries, they make a popping sound. So just be aware of that. If it's your first time cooking cranberries, they do make a popping sound when their skin splits. So I'm going to let these continue to simmer. I'll stir them pretty regularly for the next 10 minutes or so. And once that's done, I will bring you back and we will take on the next step. I just wanted to show y'all how much this has cooked down in just 6 minutes so far. I'm just letting it sit and simmer, and it is just thickening up, and the berries are bursting and going to nothing. Okay, our 10-minute timer just went off, so I'm going to shut these off. Now, if you like the kind of cranberry jelly that has the berry bits in it, you can skip this step. I like the smooth cranberry jelly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run all of this through a fine mesh sieve or screen. And all I do is just press through, and eventually there'll be nothing but just tiny little bits of skin left behind. So I'm going to get all of this pressed through, and I'll play some music while I do it and speed things up, and then I'll be back to talk to you about next steps. Alright, so when I was growing up, we only had cranberry sauce on Thanksgiving. And of course, whatever was left after. And it came out of a tin can, just like most everybody's. And every time that I can cranberry sauce, I am reminded of why my granny didn't put up cranberry sauce. So I fast forwarded and played some music for you guys, but just so you're aware, I just spent 24 minutes running that through a sieve. This is the pulp, the skins, and you can tell when you're done with the batch because it stops pressing through. It gets pretty dry and it doesn't really press much through. So now I'm going to get some jars out. I'm going to wipe down a little bit because this is sticky and I have made a mess with it all over the place. Alright, now before I started, I put some lids and I just poured boiling water over them so that they would be hot because I am water bath canning. And I'm not going to can all of this because I'm going to be having some of it over the next few days. It is Thanksgiving after all. So I'm going to get me out some jars. And for just me, I like to can in the 4-ounce jars. That's more than enough for any time I decide to have turkey and dressing 2 or 3 meals. For me, that's more than enough. So I'm going to fill those first before I fill my half pints. And I'm just doing a very small batch, so I didn't get out the big water bath canner. I am just using my big stock pot. I have the rack from my Instapot in the bottom of it to keep them up off the bottom of the pan. And all of these comfortably fit in this pan without issue. In fact, there's a little extra space in there. So you can do small batches. All you need is a good heavy bottom pan, a rack to put in the bottom to keep them off the bottom, and a tight fitting lid. That's all that you need to water bath process. So I'm going to start filling. I have to grab my vinegar because we'll have to wipe the rims. So we'll need that in a couple of minutes. Alright. Oh, I wanted to make sure. Yep, I'm good with that. And we want to leave 1/2 inch headspace in all of these. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make a mess because it is jelly and I make messes when it's not jelly. So when it is jelly, I make even bigger messes. Now, you do not have to can this. You can make smaller batches. You can make just enough for dinner. I'm going to put the full recipe in the description below, but you can cut it down. It's a really easy ratio. It's 8 cups of cranberries, and I overfilled that. 8 cups of cranberries, 4 cups of sugar, 2 cups of liquid. So it is a simple breakdown for this one. This one isn't complicated. It doesn't have all the complicated measurements to cut the recipe down. There we go. And you don't have to use pineapple juice. I have a friend who uses orange juice, and I talked to a lady earlier today who uses apple cider in hers. She thinks it gives it a festive fall flavor. And I'm going to be honest, if I'd had any apple cider on hand, I'd probably have given that a try tonight. Alright, so I'm going to take what's left and I'm going to use that for meals for the next few days. Now, we all know, I think this is one of the most important steps, especially when you're canning something with high sugar content, like jams and jellies. I'm going to take a paper towel, some white vinegar, and I'm going to clean these rims. And this serves two purposes. Now, when I'm preparing my jars, when I'm washing them, getting them ready, I always check the surfaces to make sure there are no nicks or scratches or bumps. Anything that might interfere with the seal. And this gives me a chance to check it a second time. Make sure that they didn't bump together in the canner and get a little nick. And that one has a spill down the side. You know, like I said, I make a mess. Grab another paper towel. And with these, you can feel the sticky spots. If you have a spot that's sticky, you will be able to feel it with this paper towel. Okay, now that I have the last one cleaned, I'm going to grab a lid. I'll put these over here where I can get to them. We're going to do rings fingertip tight. You don't want to wrench it down. It needs to be able to let air escape. That's how the seal is made. Y'all, I apologize. I just realized that my camera stopped recording while I was loading the canner. So what I've done is I have got them all back in the canner. I've got them covered with at least an inch of water, and there's actually a little over an inch over the tallest one. And I've turned it up on medium high. I'm going to bring it up to a full rolling boil. And once it comes up to a full boil, I'm going to let it boil for 15 minutes. Once that 15 minutes is up, I'm going to shut the heat off, and I'm going to let them sit for 5 minutes before I take the lid off and take them out. And what I have left is not a whole lot, but it is enough to get me through the next few days. And I'm not going to can this. I'm going to put this in the fridge. And then when I feel like I want some cranberry jelly, it will be there waiting for me. So like I said, you don't have to can this. You don't have to make a big batch. You can make just enough for your meal. And it keeps in the fridge for around a week. About like a regular can of cranberry jelly does. You know, 3 or 4 days. And I tell everybody to use common sense after you open something. If it's growing fuzz, I can't say that I recommend eating it. If it smells off, I can't say that I recommend eating it. That goes for leftover takeout as well. If it doesn't look right, then it's not right, in my opinion. Alright, and there I have some to get me through the week. So I'm going to clean up a bit. Get these processed up to a boil and processed for 15 minutes and let them rest for 5, and then I will be back and we will take a look at how they turned out. Alright y'all, I brought these up to a boil, a hard boil, and I let them boil for 15 minutes, and then I took the lid off and I've let them sit for about 5. So now I'm going to pull them out, sit them on a towel. and I heard a couple of them ping already. A little bit of space here. For that last jar. Alright. Now let's see if I can get the camera to cooperate and show you. That is just, the camera does not do it justice, I'll tell you right now. It is just a beautiful burgundy jam. It is absolutely gorgeous. The color is perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these alone for about 24 hours. Now tomorrow evening, when it's been about 24 hours or so, that one just sealed. That's a beautiful sound to a canner. So in about 24 hours, tomorrow evening, I will come back, I will take the rings off, and I will check all the seals, and I'll wash my jars, and I'll label them, and I'll put them in the pantry. Except for this bowl, which is what was left that I didn't can, and it's going in my fridge because it is for Thanksgiving. There was another one and another. That really is just a beautiful sound to a canner. That's the sound of success. I really hope that you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope that you will and that you'll stick around for a while. I do some canning and some dehydrating and some cooking, and wintertime's coming, so I'll be doing some crafting as well. Thank you so much for watching today. Happy Thanksgiving.